Shazam, issue 7, Mark Waid writing with Goran Suzuka on the art. So, different artist on this book compared to the usual Mora. Although, once again, I actually think the artist here was a good fit for this book.
Yeah.
It feels like it's doing a good job of having an old school vibe. It is different from Mora for sure, but it definitely has that kind of thick inks, nice, and part of this is the coloring as well, of course, but the flatter colors, it has that silver agey kind of vibe that I think you want with this book. So this is the start of a new arc. It was built into with the last issue, but this is part 1 of the arc. So this is how Black Adam gets involved, although the issue starts with a little mini story of Shazam fighting Bizarro Shazam. And he's like, what the hell? This is a Superman thing. Why am I fighting a Bizarro Shazam? And he ends up winning in a fairly fun action scene by effectively saying, wait a minute, if I have the wisdom of Solomon, then that means you should be an idiot. So then he starts getting really dumb. And it's almost like as soon as he starts saying these things out loud, because he tries to get him to say Shazam backwards, and that doesn't work. He's like, okay, that doesn't work. So how about I start pointing out that he should be dumb, that he should be slow, that he shouldn't be able to fly, because he's the opposite of me, right? And it seems like every time he says something like that, something happens. At one point, the Shazam Bizarro is holding up a big wrecking ball, and he's like, wait, if I am strong, then you shouldn't have the strength of Hercules, you should be weak. So then the wrecking ball just, crushes him. So it's like, okay, given the fact that every time he makes a realization it's affecting this Bizarro, it points to the fact that this isn't like a real being, and it's more like it's something that someone has made or something. And sure enough, it's Felix Faust who's using this Bizarro as a distraction to rob a bank. So,
it's almost quaint, So.
It's a funny little story. It's very almost standalone, just a little mini adventure at the start of the book to get you in the mood. And
I got so worried that I missed something because I was like, wait, Bizarro, this is not how this ended, right? Because we ended with Black Adam and the Auditors, and then so just to see this is what Billy's been up to, and that was a lot of fun because that is the one thing. Despite I love Bizarro as a character in small doses, but that the whole opposite Superman thing sometimes takes it to, too bit of a logical conclusion. So I like that Waid is kind of commenting on that, especially in using Shazam to do that. Like, well, if I'm as swift as Mercury, you should be slow. And it shows him, not being able to do things. So that was and I do like the costume too, because it's the inverse, right? So it's got the red lightning bolt. He almost looks like Reverse Flash. There too. So it's funny because I saw Talking Superman this week talking about how this Bizarro story that's coming up in Action Comics, he's been a little cynical, but I can't really fault him because there's kind of this similar thing with Bizarro where we always seem to get an ending where Bizarro realizes he doesn't have to be as bad as he is and whatever, but then it's always forgotten about the next time someone else wants to write a Bizarro story. So it's easy to be cynical. This felt, because it was separated from all that, it was just a little fun joke of a little story. There's no weight attached to it, so it's very easy to just enjoy it, which is nice. So it cuts to the Black Adam stuff, which is Black Adam was coming up to the dinosaur spaceship because they're flying over Kandak, and he's like, how dare you? He rips a hole in the side of the ship, and I don't know if it's the funniest moment in the book, because maybe we'll come up against one later, but I really laughed at the dinosaur yelling, holding his papers in his hand, you broke our ship, there will be an accounting, like a reckoning, an accounting, and then there's just lots of talks about how he has to fill out paperwork now, which so I'm not that familiar with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but this feels cut from that cloth, space bureaucracy.
It's not my area of expertise, but I didn't notice it. It is here in these pages. I didn't notice until later, though, where it was more overtly Star Trek-y. But other than the captain, they're all wearing red shirts like Star Trek characters, and that really cracked me up later on when I noticed it. There's a page later on when they're like 4 of them are standing in a line with their phasers, and I was like, oh wait, they look like Star Trek characters, but they're dinosaurs.
They're Star Trek dinosaurs, which, come on. What other book can you get that in? I feel like that's for all the silliness that you get in comics, I feel like that feels right at home in Shazam. Because the fact that they're also talking to Taki Tani, who is a tiger wearing a green suit, We can have the Star Trek dinosaurs, and we're just gonna laugh.
um, Actually, this made me laugh, not because of the book really that much. I mean, it's a funny line on its own, but it's more just because I heard this in Vince McMahon's voice. But the dinosaur yells at him, "Who do you think's in charge here, pal?" And for some reason now, whenever I hear the word "pal," I can't help but hear it said in Vince McMahon's voice.
Pal. You need the deep gravelly. Yeah.
But yeah, so they send off a rocket to Kandak, right? Which sounds dark at 1st when you think they're about to bomb somewhere. And Black Adam goes flying after it to try and stop it, but it blows up in the air, and then it turns out that they're actually just raining down paperwork on the city. So there's just paper falling. So it was harmless. It was never going to hurt anything.
Yeah.
But Black Adam basically vows that he's going to kill all the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs, meanwhile, have realized where Billy Batson actually lives, so they're heading off to the other side of the planet. So, good fun stuff. There's some good character building in the middle here, where Billy has been asked to meet the rest of the family somewhere. He doesn't know where, and it turns out the foster parents have bought a new house, or they're going to buy a new house. They're showing the kids this new big house where they're all going to get their own room. Everyone's super delighted about it. And the dad explains, hey, between selling the old place and some money we got from a dying aunt, we can just about make the payments on this. It'll be good for all of us. And that's when Tawny calls and says, hey, there's a bunch of dinosaurs here. Yeah, they look very threatening.
I would definitely characterize them as impatient. Yeah, such a good line.
Yeah, a lot of the dinosaur dialogue was cracking me up because they have them all, they're all holding up their faces at Tawny here, and Tawny's trying to be nice. He's like, hey, how about I make you some snacks? You look famished. And the dinosaur's like, poisonous snacks? It's a trap. Lick me the furry one. That's just funny. It's just funny. I kept laughing at it. So they're demanding Shazam do his paperwork, and then Black Adam shows up. Great full page spread of Black Adam up above. They kind of tease it a little bit before because he mentions, oh, there's everyone that dresses like you, belligerent. And he's like, what do you mean dresses like me? And this even leads to another little joke when Black Adam starts fighting. Well, he goes to punch the dinosaur and Shazam steps in, but he basically says, oh, great, this is the second time today I've fought someone who looks like me. So that's the only reference to the Bizarro stuff for the rest of the story, is that one little tidbit. But despite them being annoying, Shazam has to defend the dinosaurs, so he keeps getting in the way of Black Adam trying to do his thing. So Adam's pissed. They start fighting, and they're just wrecking around the place. And the end of the issue is that Billy realizes that him and Black Adam have just been fighting through the house that the family are trying to sell to afford the new place, and the final page is just the wreckage that's been left because him and Adam have just went to town on it. So, oops-a-daisy, Billy might have just ruined their chances of the new house.
Well, and I like that what goads Billy into this fight, right? Because despite the wisdom of Solomon, Black Adam starts telling him that the family makes him weak, and pulling in the Bizarro thread is, in that way, Black Adam kind of is Bizarro, the captain, in that, when Black Adam's history of
he's the real opposite of Shazam.
That he killed his son to usurp the powers, and he's very tied to tragedy, like in the New 52. Billy is surrounded by family members, even in the old continuity, right? Him splitting the power for Freddy and Mary.
I'm glad you brought up the wisdom again, actually, because one of the things that story at the start of this book did, the Bizarro story, is that it really set up that he is trying to use that extra wisdom, because the whole ending of the last arc is that he got supercharged with the wisdom, and he's like, okay, I can figure this out. And then the rest of the fight with Bizarro Shazam is him like problem solving. He's like, okay, I'll try this. Maybe this will work. He's logically just going down a line of thought until he figures things out, and he does figure things out. So it does kind of like back up that he has just been made smarter, for lack of a better term. Well, not as lack of one. I just didn't want to say wisdom again. Because
wisdom and intelligence are two different things, right? And it's not necessarily intelligence that he's got more. But it's the ability to know, like, he can slow down and think about this. He doesn't have to rush in to fighting Bizarro Shazam.
For sure.
And he does the opposite here, where he rushes in and fights Black Adam.
Because he lets his emotions get the better of him. He Adam insults the family, and he can't be having that. So, but in turn ends up wrecking the house. So it says next time homeless because he's destroyed this house, and now they can't afford the new house. So we'll see how that goes. I'm assuming they'll maybe the dinosaur accountants will somehow find the money somewhere down the couch. But
look, you have these talking dinosaurs from space. He did help them with their ship. So I'm sure once Billy does do the paperwork, because that's all they want, I'm sure they'll end up lending a helping hand in all of this. So
yeah, the blatant, they are just like Star Trek outfits on the dinosaurs really cracked me up.
Yep.
Some of their lines were this has been a genuinely funny book since day one. But I'm loving that he's doing more stuff with the family, and all this has been a good time.
For sure.
This was a delightful issue again. This was the one that I was kind of looking forward to reading the most, I think, this week. I'd probably say I like Birds of Prey. Well, it depends on the issue, I guess. But I'd probably say that I would say I like that more overall, I think. But for whatever reason this week, maybe it's because of a different artist on Birds of Prey, I was like, you know what, no, but Shazam's still there to make me feel warm and fuzzy. And, it did. Plus, it's fun to have Black Adam in the mix now. Now we get to see what Waid does with Black Adam. I kind of love that it's not even like a proper big, there's a big plot building to a showdown between Black Adam and Shazam. No. Black Adam's pissed that the accountant dinosaurs dropped a bunch of paperwork on Kandak, and now Shazam's just trying to protect them. It's a really funny, silly way to get them to have to fight.
Yeah. Well, this is the first time they've really been face to face in a while, as far as I can remember.
Anyway, what you rate Shazam?
They're 8.5.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I think the art here is different from Mora, of course, but I do think that it's a very good fit for Shazam and fits the spirit of the book. It feels bold, it feels expressive, and cartoony in the right way, in the best way possible. Yeah.